name is Hido and welcome to the Pantheon, where it's partners time yet again in Innistrad. How lovely and romantic, I guess. Lovely to see. And today the partners are Rakdos. We've got Laurine, the Diversion? Yes, the Diversion. 3 mana for a 3/3 human rogue. Partners with Kamber, the Plunderer. First strike, pay 2, sacrifice an artifact or creature, goad target creature. So until your next turn, that creature attacks each combat enable and attacks a player other than us, which is really good. Forcing your opponents to sort of attack into each other and really manipulating the game. It's nice and fun. And then we have Kamber, the Plunderer. 4 mana, 3/4, partners with Laurine? Quiche Laurine. Lifelink, whenever a creature dies, you gain 1 life and create a blood token. But it isn't, is it? This is actually printed incorrectly. The actual text is, whenever a creature your opponent controls dies, you gain a life, and you may pay 1 to create a blood token. Really, really nice, and you know, it's a really cool card and a nice combination between the two. I really appreciate what they're going for here. The, sort of sacrifice, making artifacts, the blood tokens, discard. There's a lot of different directions you can go in this deck. So, before we go any further, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to do videos like this for every single legendary creature ever printed. And, we're most of the way through Innistrad at this point. So, join me for the remainder. And that brings me on for my top 5 for these fine young fellows. And in at number 5, what do we have? Well, we've got Cloak and Dagger. Not the sort of direction you might have thought, but both of these creatures are rogues, so I really wanted to play into that, and this section is all about that rogue creature type. So Cloak and Dagger, 2 mana for our equipment that's a rogue. Crit creature gets +2% and has Shroud, so a nice bit of protection for either one of our commanders. And whenever a rogue creature comes into play, you may attach Cloak and Dagger to it. So the 3 mana commander, it's a 3/3 with first strike, so it'll be a 5/3 with first strike and Shroud, so that's wonderful protection. And the other way, it's a 5/4. So really, really nice, and the auto-equipping onto rogues is really, really good. Then we've got Frog Tosser Banneret. 2 mana for a 1/1 Goblin Rogue. Haste and Goblin spells and Rogue spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So both of our commanders were getting a reduction there. And if you populate the deck with enough rogues, well, you're going to have plenty of fun. Una's Blackguard is another one. 2 mana for a Fairy Rogue. Flying each other rogue creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So that's both of our commanders getting slightly buffed there. Whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. Ooh! Wonderful bit of value if we're getting in with our commander, maybe going on a really aggressive sort of game plan. Well, getting an extra counter and then stripping our opponents of resources is just fantastic. Finally, we got Robert of the Rich, 2 mana for a 2/2 human archer rogue. Reach and haste. Whenever it attacks, if the defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During each turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast the card and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast a spell. So this is card advantage. And we're playing the sort of red-black. The discarding, the rummaging effect we're getting off the blood tokens, well, we're just going to stay at card parity. So it is likely that a blue player will have more cards in hand than them. In which case, just get in there, steal some of their cards. That brings me on to number 4. And at number 4, we've got Grave Pact and sort of aristocrat-style things. Because we're going to be sacrificing creatures, let's make our opponents suffer. Grave Pact, 4 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. So really manipulates the board state, and we're going to get a blood token every time one of our opponent's creatures dies. So if we're sacrificing something and our opponent sacrificed 3 things, well, that's 3 blood tokens, that's 3 life. It's 3 of everything. Triplicate. It's wonderful. Similarly, there's Butcher of Malakir, 7 mana for a Vampire Warrior with flying. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So a wonderful, wonderful player here. Yes, it's far more fragile because it's a creature, but then maybe you could cheat it out with a couple of things. It's really nice, and being able to sort of whittle down your opponent's creatures and get all of those blood tokens is wonderful. Then we got Con? I don't know. Ogre Ascendant. Triple black. At the end step, if 3 or more creatures were put into graveyards from play this turn, flip Quun Ogre Ascendant. So this is a really cool card. I love these flip cards, even though they're pretty useless. This one is good though. On the flip side, I don't have the technology to turn it upside down, so trust me here. It's Kun's Essence. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. So this keeps whittling down our opponent's creatures. If they're just playing a Voltron deck, they're going to have to sacrifice their commander every single turn, which makes me incredibly happy. And we're going to build up a stock of blood tokens. We're a blood bank now. Wonderful. Then there's Dictate of Erebos, 5 mana for an enchantment. Flash, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Exactly the same as Grave Pact, exactly the same as Butcher Malekith. Having redundancy of these sorts of effects is wonderful. Sadly, these cards are all quite expensive, but just proxy them. Who actually cares? Then, if we're playing sort of sacrifice fodder, Plaguecrafter is a great one. 3 mana, Human Shaman. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who can't discards a card. So you're hitting your opponents in a big way. And we're just going to be sacrificing the Plaguecrafter, so we don't really lose out on that much. Then there's Fleshbag Marauder, a classic. I love this card. 3 mana, 3/1 Zombie Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. Nice and simple. Creates a lot of blood. There's a lot of flesh, there's a lot of blood. It's just pouring out of every orifice. Then, Dawn of the Dead. 5 mana for an enchantment. Works amazingly with these last 2 cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. Not that big of an issue because we're going to be gaining life from our blood token triggers. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to play. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Remove it from the game at end of turn. So the cool thing about this is, if it leaves for any other reason, like we sacrifice it or it dies, it's going to go back into the graveyard and we can bring it back. So we can create a chain reaction where Plaguecrafter comes in, everyone sacrifices something, we sacrifice the Plaguecrafter, we go to our next upkeep, and we just do that over and over again and just lock our opponents out of the game. And that brings me on to number 3. At number 3, we got Hunted Dragon. Now this is an interesting one. But our opponents having creatures isn't the worst thing for us because we're going to make them sacrifice them, we're going to destroy them, and then we get to reap the rewards with our blood tokens. 5 mana, 6/6 flying and haste. That's pretty good. However, when it enters the battlefield, target opponents creates 3 2/2 white knight creature tokens with first strike. Okay, we're giving our opponent something, but then if we're setting up the game correctly, we can take advantage of that. And this is what this section's all about. It's raining a lot outside. Clackbridge Troll is very similar. 5 mana for an 8/8 trample and haste troll. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates 3/0/1 white goat creature tokens. So yes, we're giving them things to sacrifice. So they're not going to be sacrificing sort of main things, but we're getting so much advantage from it. Do we really care? At the beginning of combat on your turn, any opponent may sacrifice a creature. If a player, tap it and you gain 3 life and draw a card. So a nice bit of card advantage if they do want to use that outlet for sacking. Then Cursed Disturbance, 3 mana for an Aura Curse. Enchant player, whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So we just put it on one of our opponents that, we're most threatened by. Hopefully our opponents are like, oh yeah, okay, I'll attack him. They make a token, we make a token, everybody's making a token. Apart from our, major enemy. Then there's Goblin Spymaster, 3 mana, 2/1 Goblin Rogue. First strike, at the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able. So this is the goad ability that our other commander has, essentially, forcing everyone into combat, but they can attack us, and we're giving them a token at the same time. So lots of sacrifice fodder. Then, if we're giving people things, I want to give them a captive audience. It's you can't escape me. 7 mana for an enchantment. Enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Your life total becomes 4. That's pretty good. Supporting someone to 4 in command is pretty nice. Discard your hand. Oh god, they're going to be miserable. And each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So again, whoever's the arch enemy, put it on them. We get the tokens. They go to 4. Our opponents get tokens. It's just a whale of a time. It's a great, great card. Then there's Hunted Horror, 2 black for a 7/7 trampling horror. When it comes into play, put 2 3/3 green centaur creature tokens with protection from black into play under target opponent's control. So we're just giving them some things. Yes, protection from black is pretty grim because our deck is half black, but It's great. We'll make them sacrifice it. You know, they won't stay around for long. Then there's Varchild's War Riders, 2 mana, 3/4 with Rampage and Trample. I actually have no idea what Rampage does. I'll be quite honest with you. I think it's got something to do with blocking. If they block with the, I don't know. I'm going to stop. Anyway, the reason we want to play is cumulative upkeep. Put a survivor token into play under target opponent's control. Treat that token as a 1/1 red creature. So we just put it under their control. Hey ho, they've got a token. The next turn, 2, 3. It's wonderful. It just gives them a massive army which we can take advantage of. And that brings me on to number 2. And at number 2, we've got Erebos Bleak-Hearted. And we're going to take advantage of, you know, sacrificing creatures. And this is a sack outlet that not only sacrifices things, so maybe we can make our opponent sacrifice things or kill something with its ability, but we're going to get some card advantage as well. And it might be a big 5/6 beater as well. 4 mana 5/6, indestructible, as long as your devotion to black is less than 5. Erebos isn't a creature. Whenever another creature you control dies, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card, pay 2, sacrifice another creature. Target creature gets -2, -1 until end of turn. There's so much going on with this card, and it just works wonderfully in the deck. Yes, it isn't a free sacrifice outlet, but we can't have everything, can we? We're going to have card advantage. We're gaining life, so paying 2 life is not an issue. Such a great card. Then, as we're sacrificing a lot of things and creatures are dying all over the place, Black Market can generate some serious mana. Our commander, you know, it has a 2 mana sacrifice ability. Not that great, but when you've got Black Market, well, 5 mana, whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on it. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add black for each charge counter on Black Market. This can just spiral completely out of control, easily making you 20 odd mana if, you know, you've just got a lot of tokens, and we're giving our opponents tokens that they're going to be sacrificing. Wonderful. Then Overseer of the Damned, 7 mana 5/5 demon flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature. I think I will. I will destroy that creature. Thank you for giving me the option. Whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. So again, we're getting lots of advantage from our opponents losing out. Then there's Massacre Worm. Look at him. He's so cute. 6 mana, 6/5. When he enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2, -2 until end turn. Nice little soft board wipe will really have a big effect, especially on all those tiny little tokens that we've been giving away. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. So with all the sacrifice shenanigans, we're going to really ping our opponents out. Then Goblin Sharpshooter. I love this card. 3 mana, 1/1. Look at him with his big hammer thing. Bing! It doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever a creature dies, untap Goblin Sharpshooter. Tap, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. So every time we sacrifice something, that's an extra ping that we get. And if our opponents are sacrificing things, well, we also get pings there. So say we sacrifice a Fleshbag Marauder. Our creatures died. 3 of our opponent's creatures have died. That's 4 triggers on Goblin Sharpshooter. There's 4 damage wherever you want. This can easily just wipe somebody off the face of the earth. Then there's Grave Betrayal, 7 mana enchantment. Whenever a creature you don't control dies, return to the battlefield under your control with an additional 1/1 counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colours and types. We're just going to collect everything our opponents let die. Live and let die. Da-na-na. Yeah. Anyway, Ogre Slumlord. Not the best singer, I'll admit, but I'm trying. 5 mana, 3/3, Ogre Rogue. Hey, there you go, Rogue. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token. Rats you control have Death Touch. So that's not just our creatures dying, it's our opponents as well, and we're just going to generate tons of little tokens that we can sacrifice and get lots of value out of. Oh god, oh no! It's all broke! Oh, there we go. Back to number 1. Whoa, that was a disaster. And in at number 1, what have we got? We've got Arterial Alchemy. And this is using our artifacts, our blood tokens, for a greater good. You know, I alluded to it earlier with, maybe dealing combat damage with our commanders is a good plan. Well, this just really speaks to me. 3 mana enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, creates a blood token for each opponent you have. There we go. 3 blood tokens off the bat. Blood tokens you control are equipment in addition to the other types and have equipped creature gets +2%. and equip for 2. So we could just slide them all onto one of our commanders and just get in for lethal damage. This is great and works perfectly in the deck. And the best thing is you get this in the precon with the commanders. But let's have a look at some of the ways that we can use our artifacts. Crack Clan Stoker, Bram Stoker, Dracula, 3 mana 2/2 Goblin Shaman, sacrifice an artifact, so one of our blood tokens, add double red to your mana pool. So we play this on turn 3. On turn 4, we could potentially get up to 6 mana. That's pretty sweet, and I like it. Then there's Duretti Scrap Savant, if you really want to go down the artifact route. 4 mana, 3 Loyalty Planeswalker, +2, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. -2, sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is wonderful if you just want to return something massive by sacrificing a blood token. And then -10, you get an emblem with. Whenever an artifact is put into graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Not very good with the blood tokens, because as soon as you sacrifice the token, it dissipates into nothingness. But it's great if you're in an artifact deck. So a really great card. And then Marionette Master could easily close out the game. 6 mana for a 1/3. Oh, no. Could it, Adam? Yes, it could. Fabricate 3s. This creature enters with a battlefield with 3/1/1 cancel on it. Or create 3/1/1 color servo artifact tokens. So brilliant, you know, for getting a lot of creatures that we want to sacrifice. Whenever an artifact you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equals to Marionette Master's power. So the great thing is our blood tokens have the ability to sacrifice and discard a card to draw a card. So if we build up a critical mass of those tokens and then drop this, it's a 4-power creature if we get the counters on it, then we just sacrifice a bunch of blood tokens. We can easily wipe our opponents off the face of the multiverse. Then Goblin Welder, great if we're going really deep into artifact territory. 1 red for a Goblin Artificer, 1/1. Tap, choose target artifact or player. Control. No, let's start again. Choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact card in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as its ability resolves, that player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield. That is word. You just switch them basically. So great for triggering or anything. You can turn one of our blood tokens into a mere battle sphere, something like that. Then there's Duretti Ingenious Iconoclast. 3 mana for a 3 Loyalty Planeswalker. +1, make a 1/1 color construct artifact token with Defender. So nice for defending the Planeswalker, but it's a sacrifice thing that we can a creature that we can sacrifice and just chuck at our opponents. Then -1, you may sacrifice an artifact, so a blood token maybe. If you do, destroy a target artifact or creature.